SMEs account for 60% of the global formal and informal workforce. Social stability is important for equitable growth and poverty alleviation to occur, and it forms the backbone of the middle class. A small productivity improvement in SMEs can have large positive ripple effects on GDP growth and jobs, making SMEs a powerful force in the global economy. But huge obstacles face SMEs and threaten to stifle their potential. These obstacles threaten to prevent SMEs from providing the value to the economy they're capable of. The World SME Forum will provide an inclusive and open global platform that will spur new partnerships and opportunities for SMEs. The WSF will structure its work under the following 3 pillars, each aimed at addressing the major bottlenecks mentioned. To represent SMEs effectively at international governance bodies and standard setters as well as the relevant international organizations. To provide scalable advisory and technical assistance services, including business and talent strategies and management advice. Providing access to new networks, markets, and supply chains, as well as providing expertise and information through the establishment of an e-market information services platform are among the duties of World SME Forum. The World SME Forum operates under 3 guiding principles. Union of Chambers and Commodity Exchanges of Turkey and the International Chamber of Commerce are the founding partners of the WSF. The World SME Forum is legally domiciled in Turkey and its headquarters will be based in Istanbul, with future bases of operations to gradually expand across the globe. G20 finance ministers officially recognized the establishment of the World SME Forum during the World Bank IMF meetings in Washington, D.C. in April. The World SME Forum will help small and medium enterprises around the world grow and attain new opportunities, effective representation, and the chance to compete on a level playing field. For detailed information, www.worldsmeforum.org.
Well, this is World SME Forum in short. Let me start where I stopped. Our first speaker is John Donlovich. He is the Secretary General of ICC, International Chamber of Commerce. He is also the Vice President of the Board of Trustees and Management Board of the World SME Forum. And John, please.
Thanks very much, Tunç. I'm very excited after many months of hard work that we're finally in the place where we can officially present the World SME Forum back to the B20, which is where this initiative initially took root. I'd like to start with the many people who are behind this project. The Turkish government championed economic inclusiveness as one of the key priorities of the G20 presidency. I very clearly recall the first meeting that Jeff Hardy and I had with Deputy Prime Minister Ali Babacan almost a year ago here in Ankara. Deputy Prime Minister Babacan very clearly laid out the Turkish government's vision for improving service to the SME community, and he passionately explained how the Chamber's community could play an essential role in unlocking the potential SMEs have worldwide. The collaboration between the International Chamber of Commerce and our World Chambers Federation is a direct response to that call for action. Rifat Bey also was pivotal and instrumental in getting this project off the ground. As this year's B20 chairman, his tireless efforts to plan, negotiate, and implement the WSF vision has yielded very tangible success, of which he and we can all be very proud. And finally, there is the work of the B20 task forces, particularly the SME task force, which has developed a vitally important set of recommendations to support small businesses as the driver for growth and economic opportunity. SMEs still face major barriers to growth, both in developing and advanced economies. For example, as the B20 SME Task Force has pointed out, we need to find ways to help SMEs access and compete in international markets, upgrade skills and managerial talent, enable small companies to better comply with government regulations, and to improve access to finance. To focus just on this last issue for just one moment, the cost of capital has never been so cheap. thanks to the combined effect of historically low interest rates and quantitative easing in many economies. But SMEs face increasing difficulties in accessing cost-effective finance from commercial banks. Research suggests that globally there's something close to a $2 trillion shortfall in trade finance, one of the most important forms of financing for SMEs, particularly in those developing markets. In fact, new ICC data to be released later this month suggests that about 50% of the applications of SMEs for trade finance are now rejected by banks. This is a worrying trend, and it's a trend in the wrong direction, and one which we need to address head-on by promoting a constructive dialogue with policymakers to address the unintended impact of regulatory policies on the cost and availability of SME finance. It is our intention that the WSF will provide a unique platform to address this issue and the full spectrum of other barriers to SME growth. The International Chamber of Commerce will play a key role in carrying out the work of the SFF. ICC and our World Chambers Federation was asked to be the co-founder of the WSF along with TOB because of our voice. We've been the voice of world business for nearly a century, because of our network in over 130 countries with 6.5 million members, and because of our policy work, tools, and rules, which are used by worldwide businesses in their commercial operations every day. Our ICC advocacy, membership, and distribution network is unrivaled by any other business organization, and we are fully committed to developing these resources to empower SMEs to grow more effectively and compete in national and international markets. I'd like to mention two of the WSF objectives and explain how ICC can make a contribution to them. One of the things we've learned over time is that SMEs need better representation before national governments and international bodies and standard setters. As the voice of global business, the International Chamber of Commerce has historically held the mandate and responsibility to represent business views and priorities to these exact agencies and national governments. And now that we're engaged and working with the WSF, we will begin to shape our policy recommendations to the specific needs of the SME community and to target makers that can help create a more level playing field for SMEs to compete. The B20 recommendations that support SMEs, from the SME Task Force, the Anti-Corruption Task Force, Financing for Growth Task Force, all of these are ICC's responsibilities as a WSF partner and will help us to provide targeted support, tools, and services that are essential to the well-functioning of SMEs. Many of you are familiar with our ICC trade tools, like model contracts and Incoterms, but some of our valuable work, particularly designed for SMEs, include our new cybersecurity guide, an intellectual property roadmap for business, and the new ICC Business Charter for Sustainable Development, which has been especially designed to enable SMEs to respond to the UN Sustainable Development Goals. We hope the WSS will provide a platform to promote awareness, understanding, and use of these products. The SME sector has been underserved for years. We are confident that the SME sector will be well served by the launch of the WSF. I very much hope that the G20 will formally endorse the mandate and the role of the WSF at the Anatolia Summit in mid-November. And I look forward to providing you with a progress report a year from now on the substantive and tangible progress that has been made in advancing and improving the overall growth of the impact of SMEs globally. Thank you.
Thank you very much, John.
Thank you.
Our second speaker is our other founding partners representative, Mr. Ender Yorgancılar. He's the vice president of TOP, executive board, as well as the member of the board of trustees and also the management board of the World SME Forum. Mr. Yorgancılar.
Thank you, Tunç. Hello to everybody. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Ankara for B20 conferences. It's an honor to join you here today and discuss the World SMEs Forum together. I would like to thank TOBB President Mr. Rifat Sarcıklıoğlu, and ICC Chairman Terry McGraw, and everyone who has contributed to the establishment of the WSF. Let me start off by saying the WSF has an ambition and a promising agenda. It is an institution that we will help the SMEs to be more effective across the world, and do so while remaining financially available and independent of the government influence. TOBB strongly supports the WSF because it believes that not only is such an organization possible, but it is essentially today's global economy. SMEs accounts for 2/3 all private sector's job globally and 80% of the net job growth. In Turkey, SMEs account for the 82% of formal employment. Domestically, top represented and interest of these SMEs advocates on their behalf. Globally, however, SMEs are poorly represented in the policy discussion and the international governance bodies. For instance, since 2008 global crisis, the Financial Stability Board has helped write and promote new financial regulations. FSB has operated without the SME representation. One of the major reasons of the WSF was created is so global advocacy on the behalf of the SMEs. WSF is the flagship products of the Turkish G20 and B20, and TOBB, we are proud to be a part of this contribution to the global governance. Thank you.
We have heard from our founding members as the ICC and TOB their views, vision and expectations from the World SME Forum. Now we also have two of our potential partners, World Bank and OECD representatives here. First I'm going to ask Klaus Tilmes, who is also an old colleague of mine. He is the director of the Trade and Competitiveness Global Practice at the World Bank. He is overseeing the SME policy related issues globally, and I will ask him to say something good about World SME Forum. Yeah.
Thank you very much, George.
It's not working.
Yeah. I do remember the very first conversation about a year and a half ago when you had this glimmer in your eye in terms of creating this fantastic task force, and this great SME forum idea sort of came to life. So I hope that today we can talk about moving from potential collaboration to actual collaboration. But it's a great pleasure to be here, and on behalf of the World Bank to celebrate the launch of the World SME Forum and to formalize our partnership. Providing support for SMEs is a fundamental priority for the World Bank Group as we pursue our two goals: to eradicate extreme poverty by the year 2030 and to boost shared prosperity. We believe that by investing significant resources across the World Bank, we are actually focusing in a very fundamental and very practical way to contributing to SME success. We are committed to working in partnership with governments as well as the private sector, and we are very pleased to inaugurate this partnership with the World SME Forum. No question, SMEs are crucial for job creation. The numbers are telling very convincing stories. 2/3 of all new jobs created are coming from SMEs, and interestingly, the smallest among them account for more than half of all total net job created. So a vibrant SME sector is vital to meeting the global job challenge. And as our 2013 World Development Report forecasted, the global economy needs to create 600 million net new jobs by the year 2027, just to keep pace with the coming surge of population growth and to integrate the wave of young people into the global workforce. This is a huge challenge, and it can only be met if SMEs are living up to their full potential. Strengthening the productivity and innovation is another key contribution of the SME sector. This continuous churn of new companies being created, constantly replacing older firms as they falter, is vital for this process of creative destruction. This ensures that an economy's scarce resources are directed toward the most efficient firms and sectors. We also know that a high density of SMEs in every economy, large or small, helps drive diversification, spur innovation, increase competition, enhance consumer choice, and connect micro enterprises with the larger economy. However, as the latest B20 policy paper has outlined, this is hampered by a number of challenges. Two are particularly prominent for our clients' developing countries. First, the SME sector, broadly speaking, suffers from a lack of workforce skills and managerial capacity, a lower ability to adapt new technologies, limited access to finance, a lack of capacity to comply with standards, certificates, and international quality controls. Second, the external environment is difficult for SMEs. In many countries, they're hobbled by a poor investment climate, weak enabling institutions, underdeveloped innovation ecosystems, and limited access to intermediate inputs and physical infrastructure. This constrains their ability to access markets, networks, and opportunities. The World Bank Group devotes about $3 billion every year to support the SME agenda in developing countries. Delivering our support across the entire range of instruments and products, we focus on 4 high priority areas which really dovetail very nicely and align very nicely with what the World SME Forum is trying to do. First, fostering high growth entrepreneurs, this subset of growth oriented firms that really can help innovate, scale up, and create value. Second, integrating SME into value chains, both at the regional as well as the global level. This kind of integration gives firms access to new markets, technology, experience, knowledge networks, and capital. Unfortunately, in many developing countries, SMEs' involvement in these production networks is hindered by their small size and lack of familiarity with more rigorous client demands. So helping build SMEs' capacity to compete in global markets and move to higher value-added products and functions is vital. Third, strengthening women-led SMEs. As our flagship report, Women, Business and Laws, has clearly shown, many of the 1 billion women are suffering and are being held back by financial, social, legal, and regulatory barriers. We believe that empowering female entrepreneurs, especially in high-growth sectors, offers strong potential to create jobs and lift households out of poverty. Fourth and finally, and something that has come out very clearly here today, is supporting the innovation ecosystem. By harnessing technology and digital innovations for SMEs, this thriving innovation ecosystem contributes to the development of the knowledge economy. This is a special opportunity for SMEs. In all of these ways and more, the World Bank Group is committed to working with governments, private sector institutions, and civil society groups to strengthen SME sectors, spur job creation, reduce poverty, and promote shared prosperity. We are especially pleased that the 2015 Turkish presidency of the G20 and the Turkish chairmanship of the B20 have provided this opportunity to strengthen the voice of SMEs. And we are delighted that, following the recommendations, TOP and ICC have now officially founded the World SME Forum, which will serve as this global platform SMEs. This shared vision that unites the Bank Group and the World SME Forum has led us to initiate a structured collaboration, which will be formalized by the memorandum of understanding that will be signed tomorrow by Bank President Jim Kim. By working together, we believe that we can magnify SMEs' contribution to growth, jobs, and development. Our collaboration will help share knowledge, ideas, and lessons learned on SME research and policy intervention, advance policy reforms and technical assistance, and significantly provide World Bank staff directly to support your work. We wish you every success. It's an exciting venture, it's thrilling, and I'm really looking forward to the takeoff phase. I think you are a startup. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much. We kept the best for the last. It's Gabriela Ramos is the OECD's Chief of Staff and the Sherpa for the G20. Gabriela.
Thank you, Tush, and good afternoon, everybody. I was actually going to say that in this panel, ladies comes last, which is fine with me, as long as you include a lady in the panel, that's fine. But no, congratulations. Congratulations to all of you, to John, to Ende, to the World Bank, and to say to Tush that, of course, the OECD is pretty supportive to the World SME Forum. We're ready to become a partner, and we're ready to sign also.
Thank you.
And we come with a baggage of knowledge and analysis and policy decisions that have been promoted at the OECD to improve the outcomes that we give for SMEs. So we are all joining your effort and your message that both the B20 and the G20 are sending out. And at the OECD, we are doing our part. Just tomorrow, in the finance ministerial meeting of the G20, they will be endorsing, I hope, not last minute glitches, the G20 OECD high-level principles for financing SMEs. And they would also be discussing two elements that the Turkish presidency asked the OECD to take a hard look. First, how the changes in the tax system, international tax system, will affect SMEs, and we're ready to provide also with that knowledge, and how the corporate governance principles that we review and are launching also tomorrow are going to be affecting SMEs. And as the colleagues here mentioned already, this is a hardcore issue for the inclusive growth agenda that the Turkish presidency and the B20 are promoting. And we cannot go without it because, of course, it's a lagging factor in terms of the global recovery. And we cannot let them down if we consider also the context of the global economy and how far we are from the glooming growing scenario that we were foreseeing some years ago. We are not only not out of the woods, I think that we're facing risks that are materializing and that are putting the global economy in a path of a slow growth, and so all the efforts are welcome. Some of the elements that we have been documenting, and John covered some of these issues, and I think it's well taken that they will be addressing this. Our scoreboard documented that in the aftermath of the crisis, bank lending to SMEs has still not recovered to pre-crisis level in many countries of the G20. And actually, in some European countries, it felt like almost 70%, 65%, and it has not recovered. Even in the US, which is one of those countries that is driving the recovery in the world, SMEs lending gets to 22% compared to 30% before the crisis. So these are the challenges we're facing. GBCs, global value chains, Klaus mentioned them, and actually the World Bank and the OECD produced a report that we will recommend that you also take a look at for the Turkish presidency on how to integrate SMEs in global value chains. Because of course we know that they are not champions at exporting. When you really measure in traditional trade statistics, SMEs are not really well represented. But if you take a look at their participation in upstream activities in global value chains through their connections with multinational, this increases importantly. So this is something that maybe all of you, business people, can really take a hard look of how you, when you engage in global value chains, can include in your supply chains some of these SMEs that might be able to produce with good quality and with certainty too. So there are some very specific actions. Some other areas in which we really need to focus, first, not only bank lending, but also how to diversify the financing flows for SMEs, how to go for crowdfinancing, how to go for venture capital, how to go for angel capital, and including also factoring and many other sources, equity, in which they are also badly represented. Second, how to boost innovation and allow for small and medium-sized enterprises to invest in entrepreneurship and skills, and particularly for those radically innovative small and medium-sized enterprises, because one of the outcomes of our innovation strategy is that it's not the small or the big who are more innovative, it's the new. So how do we ensure that we have more new SMEs that could go for the innovation ladder? And then, of course, eliminating regulatory barriers, reducing red tape. John talked about those issues. Taking advantage of the digital infrastructure. We always know that if SMEs are able to grab or leapfrog on the technologies or the IT technologies that are being used by the industrial sector, they can really improve their productivity, and they can really take advantage of and almost become, as we call them, the micro multinationals or micro multinationals. Finally, partnerships between multinationals and SMEs must be promoted, as well as try to understand what are the drivers and how we better connect and how we better improve the taking advantage of their participation in the global economy. And finally, I think that we are offering this, of course, for the World SME Forum, putting the evidence. We don't even have common definitions of SMEs among OECD countries. I mean,
Correct.
we don't even have definitions of how much finance do they receive, how many people, how do they define their access to capital, define their access to technology. I think these are questions that at least we have to have a common understanding, and of course we are ready to help there. And so congratulations. We are ready to join forces. I think this is a fantastic outcome of the Turkish presidency and the B20. And of course, the OECD is there to help as usual. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Gabriela, thank you very much for your kind words. I think the issues that are raised by Gabriela are also very much in line with the problems that are identified by the B20's SME task force, which was led by Merih here. And we have a very difficult task in front of us. The bar is set very high, but we have also very good partners to start with, and we are ready to take on the challenge. And I hope that when we get together next time, we will have some concrete output that we can show you and be proud of. Thank you very much for the time, and thank you.